I'd like to welcome everybody to this week's ChimeIn call. I'm Kelly Sullivan-Walder, director and co-founder of ChimeIn, The Changes Me International. And just for fun, I thought I'd read our vision mission statement. ChimeIn is an international youth-based, youth-driven, mentor-supported initiative that engages young leaders of the world by promoting self-responsibility, endowing cutting-edge leadership skills, and providing the platform to chime in and make a positive difference in the world. So I am joined by Susan Johnson, our Director of Operations, and we've got Cam Johnson, one of our new youth ambassadors. We've got Priyanka, and we have others that will be listening. Everybody else will be listening in the archive, and there may be others joining us in real time. And we have Nancy Telzero, who is joining us for our second in our series of media training calls. And Nancy Telzero, you can go to her website, by the way. It's nancytelzero.com. And this is what I know about Nancy. This is not her formal bio, but here's what I know about this amazing woman. She's taught and she's been in the radio and television, media, broadcasting world for a long time. You wouldn't know it because she looks like she's about 12, but she's been around. She's a veteran, and she's been an actress. She's been on-camera talent. She's been a host. She worked at SeaWorld. And I think, Susan, you have some of that in common, working with animals and at zoos and things like that. So Nancy was the person that would stand in front of the whale and do all of that stuff and knows how to engage an audience. And then she taught media and journalism and radio and television at her alma mater. And Nancy, what's the name of the college that you went to?
It's Baldwin-Wallace University.
Baldwin-Walden University. So Nancy is amazing. Not only is she great on camera and behind the scenes, she actually produced a series called A to Z with Meryl and me, and you can find out more about that on her YouTube channel. She took on Meryl Streep movie scenes, and she's an incredible performer, incredible actress. So she really knows many different aspects of being in front of people, being in front of a camera, public speaking. She's going to give our group some tips about some of the do's and don'ts and her go-to strategies for being successful in this area. And by the way, she did join us in Guatemala, so she's more than just a pretty face. She's actually a beautiful soul that got right in there with us, building the houses, not being afraid of the smells and the different things that we encountered while we were there. And she was incredible. So I was very impressed, because often somebody who's, kind of media savvy like her and, looks beautiful all the time, you wouldn't know that she could just dive right in. And she did. So she is a real woman. She's our kind of woman. And we're so lucky to have her with us here at ChimeIn, giving us this media training. So Nancy Telzero, welcome. Thank you. And take it away.
Wow. You're such a good intro.
You deserve it and more.
Thank you. That's very sweet. Well, all right. I wanted to talk to you about some things that obviously all of you have had to speak in front of crowds before. You've had to address your peers, and you've been in a situation where you're kind of the spokesperson for whatever wonderful cause you're presenting. And I think it's more important than me saying, make sure you hold the microphone this way and have your face right in front of, or here are the gestures you should use. Those are things you already sort of have a great handle on. I did get to meet most of you in Guatemala, and I was quite impressed. And so I wanted to dig just a little bit deeper about three main things. And so I'm going to tell you what I'll talk about today. One is all about you and your message. Two is about not taking it to heart. And three is knowing when to say when. And so if we start out with actually you and your message. Well, you obviously, you've been chosen. You were chosen by Kelly and by Susan and by the people of ChimeIn, saying that there's something special about you. There's something amazing about you. You contribute to society. You're an asset to the world. That's what they're saying. And so your message is always going to be important. The thing is here's the deal. No one's going to care about your message as much as you do. And I know that sounds like, oh no, the whole point is for everyone to care. Well, yeah, you're going to be contagious. You're going to say some wonderful things and they're going to enjoy it and drink it in and be on your wagon. But it's always going to be most important to you. And so instead of being married to why don't they care as much as I do, just it's your job to care about what you care about and to share it. And so you need to let go of the attachment to people if they care as much as you do. I think that's the most important thing. And that takes me to the don't take it to heart. And that is, so there will be somebody while you're talking who might be looking at their watch, or who might have to run out in the middle of your talk, or who might, all of a sudden get up and mass exodus, which happened to Mariah in Guatemala. That wasn't anything to do with what she was saying by any means. But what happens is everybody has their own agenda. So those people may have had a good reason. And I could tell you that reason in that case. And that had to do with, we were promising these parents that these kids would be back on a certain time. We were adhering to a contract. That was important. And for them just to leave without saying, we're sorry, might have been, well, we're trying to not interrupt her. We're trying to keep her with her flow and not be disruptive any more than we already are. So when you take it to heart, sometimes you think that just was so rude and so inconsiderate. And how could they do that? But you can never control your audience. Your audience might have a mom who's in the hospital, might have a dog that needs to be let out, might have, something that they, oh no, I forgot to bring this to my child's school and what am I going to do? And they want to hear your message, but they got to run. And so if you're not taking it to heart and realizing everybody has their own thing going on, you'll be better off in your message because you don't want to be distracted by that. But when you want to sort of notice what's going on is when you are talking and you're going on and on and on, when to say when. And that means you notice that maybe a few people are nodding off. Maybe a few people are looking at their watch. Maybe people are starting to fidget. And I'm very attuned to that. And I'm one to say, oh gosh, I better get their energy, the energy up, or I better get their attention. But maybe it's time to close it because you've gotten your message across. You can't control what they believe or what they're thinking or what their other obligations might be. And it might just be time to shut it down and open it up to let them talk. That might be the perfect opportunity to say, what do you have to say about this? So I think those three things are more important than how to hold the microphone and, what kind of eye contact you make, because I saw you all do this and you know how to do those things. You're all really amazing right now already. So these are just the things that'll tweak it just a little bit more so that let's not get mad about somebody leaving in the middle of my talk. Let's not get mad about, someone not understanding me fully. That's our opportunity to express it in a different way or to shorten it or whatever the case may be. So I told you who I am a little bit. Kelly told you who I am, and I've told you what I was going to tell you. And just to let you know tonight, my daughter's been in the hospital. She's back now and she's doing better, but I was concerned about coming here because of my agenda. And my agenda is I want this to be a great presentation and I want you to get a lot out of it. Well, what if I can't give you my all? What if I can't give you my heart? What if my message won't get across? And then you're shortchanged. You see how it's about you, but yet it's really all about me and my worries. So that's just something that I had to battle. And I said, nope, I'm going to tell these guys this anyway. See if it helps. And so this is when to say when for me. I will stop. And if you have any questions or comments or thoughts, please share them with me.
Nancy, I just want to say one quick thing. I just want to thank you, first of all, for these three very valuable insights and the fact, and I would say the fourth insight was to be personal and to be a little vulnerable. You weren't so vulnerable that you fell on the floor and started screaming and crying and tearing things apart, but there's like a peek into the humanity, which I think it causes me to just lean in even a little bit more. It causes me to even, my heart even opens up a little bit more, because I think whenever you're a speaker, there's kind of an assumption that you've got your whole act together and that you're a perfect person and you've never had a bad day. So there's some kind of equalizer to let people know a little bit about, wow, I just got evacuated from my house and that was upsetting and I still haven't changed my ringtone. Oh my God. So I think from this girl is on fire to, I have to change it to something else. But I like that you brought in all of those things, when to say when, how to not take it personally, and oh my God.
And it's about you and your message.
Oh, it's about you. Oh, it's about me and my message. You're right. And yeah. So I think, to me, I feel like there's a lot of value here, and there's some things that I'd like us to drill deeper into, but I want to open it up to see if anyone else has anything to say or share or ask. So go for it. And Priyanka and Cam, you guys are muted. So if you have something, unmute.
I have to say, I've been through a couple public speaking courses, and I've had the chance to speak in front of some relatively decent-sized crowds before. And while I felt like I did well, I feel like I would have been able to do better if I had known the last one, which is make sure you're like fully paying attention to your audience and not just trying to ramble on and on and on, because I can do that, as my mother can probably attest to.
Can't we all?
Yes.
And this has been particularly difficult for me because here I am telling you all this and I can't see your faces. And I know there's something where I can press a button and I can see everybody, but not on my little tablet. So bummer. It was actually like painful for me because I don't know what's going on. I could see Kelly, and she's a captive audience. She's as good as talking to my own mom, but I didn't know what you folks were thinking or what your expressions were. And that's tough as a speaker because I so rely on that. I really rely on looking at everyone, seeing if there's a question on their face so I can immediately answer it and sort of connecting in that way.
Yeah, Priyanka.
So I have a quick question. Well, first of all, thank you, Nancy, for that. That was really interesting and very insightful. So my question is, how do you be graceful, like in that moment, like when it's quite overwhelming, when people are kind of getting fidgety or getting up and leaving? How do you be graceful and not get upset in that moment?
I think that's a great question. And I think the thing you can do is, instead of pretending like it doesn't exist, say, this has gone on a long time and I've talked a lot, but I wanted to give you all that information. It's really important for me to share it, but I know your time is valuable. And so I'm going to wrap it up here so you can get on your way. I don't want to take up your time. And it's just what it is it's like a way of saying, I see you. And I see that you're in a hurry, and I see that you've been so wonderful to give me your time that I'm going to make sure that I respect yours. And that's what it is. But as far as getting upset about it, I don't tend to get upset about it myself because I'm so fully aware that it's about their other thing. I mean, you can be the most fabulous speaker in the world, but if they know that their dog is about to pee on the carpet, they're going to want to head out. You know what I mean? If they know that, visiting hours are almost over and they've got to go see their mom, it doesn't matter how wonderful you are. And that's kind of like, as I am an actor and that's how I make my living. When I go to an audition and they tell me, yeah, we wanted, an 80-year-old white woman who is, 35 pounds overweight or whatever. And it's like, well, I'm not those things. I am a white woman, but I'm none of those things. And I can't take it personally because, are you kidding? They weren't looking for me. So in this case, when somebody leaves, again, it is 99.999% of the time not about you. It's about what they're doing. It's when you know that, when your heart, when you really know that, it doesn't make you upset. It just makes you go, okay, I can see people are getting restless and I don't want to take up more of your time. So I'm going to open it up to questions and allow people who need to go because I appreciate what you've done for me in listening and allowing me to share this.
Yeah. And I also think too, on top of that, Nancy, is that, and you'd probably be really good at this, is that looking at where you are at that point. Are you the last speaker of the day? Have there been 5 people before you? Is it raining? Is it cold? Is it hot? have they not had lunch? Have they not had a bathroom break? And almost evaluating where the audience is, so that when you go into something, you almost know, all right, I'm the last speaker of the day. We all know that if you've been at a conference all day and you're the last speaker, there are a lot of people who are doing exactly what you said. They're looking at the watch, they're antsy, they've listened. You could have the best message in the world, but if you're number 8 on their docket, guess what? They're done, And again, there'll be some people that'll be engaged, but not everybody. So also, knowing before you go in who your audience is. If you are a student going to speak to the elderly about rap music, guess what? You might not have an engaging audience, right? But if you are, if you're with people that's the first one on and it's something that everybody wants to do, it's a different scenario. So always keep in mind as to what time it is, weather is, where you are on the docket, what everybody's got to do, and it will really help you to understand when people get up.
I would agree, Susan. And it really is, it's not just about reading them in the very moment, but also reading the itinerary of the day, just knowing exactly like what you're saying. Exactly. It's important to know. And it can be tough, especially if you really have a great thing you want to say and you are the last person. You're like, oh, darn. So that's when I immediately assess and say I have a nice bullet point outline, which is the most I ever want. I don't want to be married to my notes. That's just my own thing. But if I have that, I look, what's truly the most important? And sometimes I'll pull 3 out and try to make a word out of it, or something quick so it's easily memorized, and move on out, because then you're doing them a favor and you really are considering them, and people love to be considered.
Right. I want to just add the whole bit about if people are cold, if people have been sitting there for 8 hours, and it is your time to talk. Sometimes I'll have people like stand up, like do a jumping jack, shake the hands of somebody near you, like do something that like wakes you out of your stupor. And then, okay, now you can sit down and listen, but sit on the edge of your seat, like make it kind of a game. Like, I know this is exhausting, and yet there's something important that I want to share with you. So give me your full attention, address the elephant in the room, which could be, this is long, it's going on too long, or I want your attention, so give it to me and get warm. Sometimes doing something physical is a great way to shake people up and wake them up. I also want to add something that I love about what you do, Nancy, which is there can be a serious message and there's content, but you're never, if there's an opportunity to make people giggle, you'll go there. And I think people feel engaged. It also wakes them up and makes them a little bit more receptive to what you're saying. It makes them trust you in some way if you can connect with them in that way. So I think that's another thing that you model for us, because you've got that real quick wit. And I think sometimes, and then this came up in a conversation I had today with Kimberly, a new part of our youth community who will be a mentor. She was talking about how the issues that we talk about with regards to the Sustainable Development Goals can be incredibly heartbreaking, dark, dire, severe, unfunny. There's nothing inherently comedic about the Sustainable Development Goals: poverty, hunger, inequality. I mean, wow. So I feel like we need to walk a fine line between, giving people the statistics and letting people know what they can do and letting people know about the seriousness. And yet, how do you make it interesting, inviting, compelling, entertaining, and even uplifting so that people want to be a part of this? Nobody wants to be a part of a Debbie Downer kind of experience. They want to be uplifted, and it's possible to make that happen. And it doesn't have to be through like slapstick humor, throw a pie in somebody's face, but I think it's part of why I got excited about working with young people, because I feel like you guys have to have fun to some degree, or you're not going to do it. It's not going to stick. So I think you model that for us beautifully, Nancy.
Thank you.
And we have somebody else who joined us with 213 area code, 213 328 or 323. Who is this?
It's Benjamin.
Benjamin! Hey, Benjamin! Welcome.
How are you?
Yeah. So I'm on my phone, and in about 10 minutes, I'll be on the computer with a camera, and I'm just really fascinated with what's going on right now in this conversation. And thank you for having me.
Great. And if there's anything you want to chime in on, just chime on in, even before we see you
Well, I really felt that the ambassador for the United States in Guatemala, I felt that he really did a good job in the way that he interacted with the students and with all of us by asking questions and sitting on the same level as us, like sitting down and really engaging and kind of opening up his body language. And I feel that body language, really opening up and not crossing our legs or twiddling our thumbs, but have our shoulders broad and really open for questions, open for interaction, and getting the audience involved with a question that brings them right into the conversation, I feel is important.
Yeah. Questions are very, very important. Making people feel like they're not watching television. They're going to be called on at any moment, and they might have something to say. I want to add one thing that you brought up, Nancy, or that you inspired me to think of, in terms of when is when, and getting people engaged. I heard a woman who was a speaker trainer. She talked about filling up the bucket and then emptying out the bucket. So what you did with us is you filled up the bucket. You gave us you told us what you were going to tell us, and then you told us, and then you repeated what you told us. And so you filled up the bucket, and then you opened it up to empty out the bucket so that people can share about what this brings up for them, so that they can then the next batch if there's more later. So I liked how you did that as well. Anybody want to comment on anything so far? Has anybody still got more in their bucket that needs to be emptied before we talk about a few other things?
It looks like we might have a new person, do we?
I don't know. I think all of our people are here.
I think it's just Benjamin cutting in and out as he's driving.
Right.
Okay.
So I am going to mute that until Benjamin let us know when you would like to jump right in. Hi. Is that your brother, Priyanka's brother? Hello, Priyanka's. Hi.
Hey, Krishna.
Hi, Krishna.
How are you?
Hi.
Oh, hi.
How's it going?
What are you working on?
So Nancy, Krishna, you can be a part of this if you want to. So Nancy, what are some things? So we know about the thing about what's important to you is probably may start off more important to you than it is to the people listening. And to not take anything personal, and to know when is when. So let's talk about a few other things that you do, like maybe before you start, like to put you in a good, positive mind state or to be prepared.
Yeah, when it comes to speaking in front of people, I am very much thinking about who I'm talking to, what I believe they need. And so it's all about tailoring it to them, because I may have a great thing to say and boy, am I entertaining. But if it doesn't seem like it's going to be used by them, I'm not going to say it. So I'll tailor it to those people. And generally speaking, I just try to get in a comfortable space. I want to make sure that I have my little outline off to the side, and it may just be 3 words, but I know where I'm going so that I can stay on task. It's so easy to get distracted and to jump off the course. And while it's wonderful if someone interacts with you and that takes you off the course, that's a good time to go off. But if it's not for that reason, then all you're doing is jumbling up your message. And I think really most important that when you're talking to a group of people, if you are trying to get something out, you want to be as clear as you can. And so that my little outline's not too far away. I make sure that I am thinking about what they would want to know, and I tailor it specifically to them. And then, and unlike in this situation, I'm looking at them the entire time. I'm so connected to them that I almost know what might make them chuckle, or I know when it's not appropriate to make them chuckle, or there's just so much of a marriage there between myself and them that I'm reading that the whole time. And this was a little bit tough because, like I said, I can see you, Kelly, and that's wonderful and you're beautiful. But I couldn't see Priyanka, and I couldn't see Susan, and I couldn't see Cam, and I can't see, well, no one can see Benjamin just yet. So, that was difficult for me. But I guess I'm, without sounding too foo-foo, I like to feel the energy and really feel what the connection. And if we're on a roll together and everybody's joining me on my carpet ride, that's great. But if they're not, then I read that.
I don't think that's foo-foo at all, by the way. I totally 100% agree with that statement about feeling the energy of the call or of the people who you're talking with. It's one of the most important parts of actually being in front of an audience, I feel. So.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I think sometimes when, like you said about the bullet pointed notes, not having too much of a script to read, because I think the script reading does the exact opposite of what you just said about how can you be in touch with the feelings and with the energy of the people if you're reading something. So does anybody have any questions about that? About, how well do you be prepared and how much of it do you allow for improvisation and flow? Does anybody, does that scare anybody? Does that feel good to everybody? Let's just open that up. Priyanka.
Yeah, so I'm actually quite terrified of, despite being part of a lot of public speaking opportunities and speaking in front of public a lot, I still get quite terrified of talking. So I end up writing a script beforehand. And I do know that I know my material because there have been situations where I can just speak my heart. But when I am given the opportunity ahead of time, I will prepare a bit too much. So if you could speak to that or give me any advice, that'd be great.
Well, I think, it's great to write a script for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't use it. And so that means when you write it, all it does is that ingrains it within you, and that's wonderful. But when I used to teach radio and TV announcing at the college level, and they would often, I'd say, if you want to speak, and I'd often give assignments where it was speak extemporaneously, and they'd say, well, do you mind if we make bullet points or if we jot notes? I said, that's fine, but it can't sound like you're reading. And I'll tell you every time, and this is on radio, I just say, you read that, right? And then, how did you know? There's something about reading, and we all know it. And obviously, if they can see you, they really know it. But what it does is it disconnects you. And so it's great for you to write it, and it's great for you to read it all the way to the place. But then I wouldn't have it in front of me. And that's just because then you lack a connection with them. And I know it's terrifying because that feels like your security blanket and you want that. But in order to read your audience, it would be really hard if you're reading a piece of paper. So I would just suggest that you get away from don't get away from writing it. Just get away from reading it in front of them.
What if you did a little cheat where you could read what's on the bullet point? If it's one sentence, and then you describe what that is, or you talk about it in a bit more detail, so there can be something that's clearly articulated and even read. And then if you go in, do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
I can show you. I don't know if you can see my little note for today. Oh gosh, maybe it's whiting out.
Oh
no.
There it goes.
Okay, they're teeny tiny. There.
I'm trying to make it big. I'm trying to make it big. Do it again, Nancy.
All you need to do is just let Nancy talk, and she'll have become the main screen.
There you go.
See that?
Beautiful. Great.
And
Yes.
so it just says first. I mean, the talk to chime in. That was so that
Hi, Dad. What's up?
But and it is about your message. And it says don't start. Then it says when to say when. And later on, I say, tell them what I'm going to tell them, give a personal story, and wrap it up. That's all I have written down there.
Great.
I know she had to get up for her dog, but at least that's on the recording.
That's great. Welcome, Benjamin. How are you feeling, by the way?
Oh, I feel fantastic. There's a really, really heavy accent and kind of an echo, so I'm hearing my voice really loud in my ears.
Still?
And you just stopped it, and that's wonderful.
Okay.
But no, I feel really, really great. It's been such a gift to be under the weather and to slow down and to listen to the wind and feel really, really present. And so I felt that this disease, this tropical disease that I had, actually has been an incredible teacher and a reminder just to soak up every breath. And so I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to show up here and to listen to Nancy and these great questions and stuff. It feels like right now everything is a teacher, and there's something to be learned with every breath. So feeling great about it.
Well, you look great, Benjamin.
Hey, thanks. Thanks.
I'm glad that you're feeling better.
Yeah.
So let's see, Susan, what about you? I muted you just because of, let me unmute. Okay. How is all this landing on you? I know you've had a ton of experience public speaking, and what do you think about the whole preparedness piece and what Nancy just said about that in addressing Priyanka's question?
Yeah, so I'm very much a preparer. I like to prepare. I don't write a script, but I prepare. I have my bullet points. I actually drive and practice. I practice in front of the mirror. I actually will role play questions in my head that people might ask me, so that I don't know it rote for rote. In other words, I don't know each line, but I play it so that when someone asks the question to me in a different way, I can answer it, and so that it always sounds somewhat consistent. Because when you're up on stage and someone does ask a question, or like me, I tend to wander a little sometimes, and I have to bring myself back. If I have totally prepared to the point, I can't come back in. Where if I practice from different points of view, different questions, you get off on a tangent and someone asks you this, how can I bring it back? So it's a different kind of preparing. So it's not piece by piece, but that no matter what happens, I can always kind of bring myself back.
That's great. I think let's dial. There's two things I want to bring up, and then I want to talk about specifically what the youth ambassadors are going to be called on to talk about in some ways. I just made a note, WIFM. I think I talked about this before. That's not going to be our radio station that we're going to be doing our radio show from. WIFM is where everybody's listening to. It's What's in It for Me.
Yeah.
What's in It for Me radio station. Everybody's listening to WIFM. WINFM, I guess. What's in it? I don't know. I'm not spelling right. WIFM. So know that people want to know. I heard my sister once heard Oprah talking about when she does her show. She's hardcore about wanting to know the need of the person that's listening, almost like the ache. What is this person? What are they hurting about? And what is the solution that I'm bringing that I could help alleviate that ache? So I think that even dials it down a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And with our group, I think there's different audiences that we're going to speak to. Probably most of the time, I would say one audience that could be like, I'm thinking about you, Priyanka, with your incredible, I don't know if you're still with us. Is Priyanka still?
Yeah.
Yep, she's there.
Okay. Priyanka did an incredible TED Talk, and I hope it's, and I know it's on our website, on our YouTube channel. You did a great job. You were incredibly articulate, beautiful, to the point. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
So I think if we use that as a model, a TED Talk, for example, one need that people actually have an ache for in an environment like that is wanting to make a difference. They know there's a need out there. They know that there are people suffering, and everybody has a need to contribute something. And most people don't know how to and don't know what to do. So if you can tell them what like Priyanka, you talk about the need for the mosquito nets or for the schools, and what the ache is, and how there's been all this money that's been wasted, and how with the small amount of money you can have a huge impact. And here's how you can do it. So you're actually giving them a way to alleviate their own pain and make them feel really good by giving them a couple of options for how to do something to give their life meaning and purpose. So I think a lot of the people that you'll talk to in terms of if you're going to be doing a fundraising talk, people want to be moved emotionally. They usually want to hear a story about one person, maybe one person. I mean, I think of when I would tell people about Guatemala, I would go back to Abraham, little Abraham, that little 2-year-old boy. Was he even 2 years old? Oh my God, I think he was younger than that. Barefoot, snot all over his face, broken teeth, saying, "Me duele mis dientes," my teeth hurt, but smiling so big with bright, sparkly eyes. It's like, oh my God, I just want to help him. I just want to give him everything I've got. So if you have one person in mind from Haiti or from the Dominican Republic or wherever, you have them in your head and you think, what does that person need? And I can connect the need between my audience that wants to contribute and let them know Abraham. Let them feel what it's like to hold him in their arms. Then
I think,
no, please go.
Sorry. Yeah, no, the press release was really helpful in like organizing my feelings about Haiti, because I've done a lot of like fundraising, but I don't think I've really expressed exactly what I felt there. I've just kind of like rallied people up to say, please donate for this cause. I haven't really like evaluated my feelings about it. So that was really helpful. And I think I would use that press release and like kind of format it into a speech kind of, or a talk kind of.
That's great. With the brain dominance that we're going to be learning about with Suzanne Rock, I think she'll come in and do like a training just to teach people about the 4 quadrants of the brain and how there's 4 different listening styles that your audience will have. Some people are very logical and they just want the facts, ma'am. Like, just tell me how many people are suffering, how much money it's going to take to provide shelter for them, and how sustainable is this? Like, what are the details? What are the facts? And then those are the blue people. It's red, yellow, green, blue. The green people want to know, how do we do something? What's the implementation process? And the yellow people are the ones that want to know why. What's the big purpose? What's the big reason? And usually we can talk about legacy, having your life have meaning, having a ripple effect. So it's not just, it's about how one person's life, one person having an education affects a whole village.
Yeah.
That's the yellow. And then the red is about drilling it down to talk about one particular person. It's a personal story. It's about the people. So if you can touch on those 4 things, often that is like a full palette experience. So anybody got a question or a thought about any of that I've just said? I just filled up the bucket. Let's empty out a bucket. Benjamin, want to empty a bucket?
I look at it as if it's kind of macro to micro, and starting with macro with an overall kind of overview of what it is that we're touching on and the topic at hand, and kind of why this particular region or this village or wherever we're working, what's going on there. And then micro, pick one story and take people into it.
Yeah.
And then the logistics and all that. And a lot of that has to do with both the feminine and masculine energies within each of us, that some, like the masculine, leans a little bit more to the logistics and what are we going to do about it. And the feminine energy in all of us is more like, let's feel it. Let's get really passionate about, why, that fuels and creates a beautiful equilibrium within all of us. And so I feel that when we're able to paint a larger picture, just like in any scientific paper or in a movie documentary or public speaking, you start with, okay, what is the setting, and then move in and take people on a ride.
I love that. And I would also add that since each of you are going to represent one particular sustainable development goal, I would suggest that there be a couple of statistics that you memorize, that for example, I know that at one point a few years ago, it was 100 million school-age children that were not in school because of poverty or because they were a girl. So finding a few statistics so that you don't have to read them off of something, so that you memorize them, and also memorizing how to articulate your goal. to eradicate poverty and hunger, to ensure environmental sustainability. Like, what's the verbiage so that you have that part down? And I think if you need to read a few statistics, like if you say, if you've got like a slide on a PowerPoint, I think you did this, Priyanka, like if you spend $1, that equals this amount of bed nets, and this amount of bed nets equals this amount of people that won't get sick. And if this amount of people, some kind of, I think there's a place where if it comes down to numbers that are beyond just one simple thing that you can hold into your head. For me, I always have to read the numbers because I'll go, wait, was it 100 million or was it 20? Wait a minute, what? I don't know. But some people are really good at rattling off those numbers. 500,000 equals, So you find out what your strengths are. Know that if you need a cheat sheet, if it comes to numbers, for me, if there's any numbers, I need a cheat sheet and I'm going to read it. Even if I have to disconnect for 2 seconds. For the people that got the blue brain and brain dominance that want the logic, we need to deliver it accurately and not just Donald Trump our way through it. Sorry to get political. I should probably use that out. Sorry. Okay.
Kelly, I agree with that. And it's not to say that no one should ever write anything down. I didn't want to imply it. And I'm just like you with numbers. So if I want to make sure I'm not saying $10 when really it's $1 trillion, because I will lose some zeros along the way, I have to have it written down too. And I'll even sometimes, it's just like pointing to the elephant in the room and saying, I know this is running long, or I can see you guys are getting fidgety, or I'm not good with numbers, so I'm going to read this. I'll tell people right in the moment. And then it just takes all the wind out of it. Nobody has to think, why is she reading? I just told you, I'm not good with numbers.
Good at other things, but not that.
But not that, yeah.
Not that.
Oh, and I wanted to touch real quickly on the personal thing you mentioned. When I did the Guatemala trip with you all, I started to do videos daily on my Facebook page. And what was happening as a result of that, it was almost like they took the personal piece to be my experience there. And so all of my people, and I have almost 5,000 friends on Facebook, started to ask questions and say, where can I send things? And it was because they had a connection to me. Right. So I know there's a trip coming up and I plan to join if I'm allowed.
Of course.
Now I would love
we demand it.
Yeah, okay.
Of course.
And to Colombia. Now I've got this group of people that are well aware of it. And it was because of those little silly videos where I'm going, look at me, dressed like a boy. Here we go. Let's talk about it. But showing them what we were doing. So there was a connection to me that will continue on. So many of them still remember it. I just saw somebody like 2 weeks ago who said, I can't believe what you've been doing. I didn't even know what he was talking about. I thought, is it what I just walked down the other aisle? But no, he meant the Guatemala trip. And I forgot that that's what he would be thinking of because he hasn't seen me since then. So it was kind of neat that people were following so closely, and I got that personal connection, and now I can kind of leverage that and say, hey, this is where you send things, and this is where you donate, and this is the company that I was with, and it just, so the personal piece, I can't stress enough how important that is.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's an excellent use of social media. I was so impressed with how you did that. Every day you got a video done. That was, when Susan and I, when we were brainstorming this program, we were hoping, and I know it's not as easy for some as it is for others, that everyone would document their lives from the moment they became a youth ambassador, like every week or every day. We want to know, what did you eat for breakfast this morning? And that's not exactly true. I mean, we could get kind of bored with that, but for sure, when we get down to doing the trip, or like Priyanka, you're about to go on your journey, I think every day to even do like even if it's just a 1 minute to no more than 5 minutes, it doesn't have to be more than 5 minutes, but between 1 to 3 minutes would be a great thing to do. Yes, Priyanka.
So I was thinking, for documenting a trip like that, would it be better to like take a bunch of footage and then compile it at the end and make like a great 6-minute video, or do you want like daily or weekly vlogs? Because I think like if you do like a 6-minute end of the trip video, you could take the most important parts, or
I'll weigh in, I'll chime in, and then I'd like everybody else who's got an opinion. I would say both. I
Okay.
would want to follow you. Then I'm more invested. If it's a short and sweet video every day, then I'm going to be so excited. And then I want to see the grand finale. I want to see the summary. It's kind of like seeing a great movie and then they recap it at the end in some kind of a flash. I think if you can do both, that would be amazing. So, Nancy, Susan, Benjamin, Cam.
Yeah, I agree. I think you touch different audiences when you do something daily than when you do something as a wrap up. I think it gives you, like Nancy had that personal touch with people, and yet then at the end, it gives you something that you can go back and look at.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the people.
Yeah. Great.
And I actually I was fortunate enough for Glenn to compile a big piece about just me at the end. And so he did. It was, I don't know how many minutes long. So there was the daily, every day, here's what we're doing today. And, oh, we haven't start building yet. And, you know, kind of giving them the temperature of the water the entire time. And about a week, less than a week afterwards, he compiled a whole thing, which included my interview where I'm answering questions, saying what this all meant to me. And he edited in all fabulous things of people working there and footage of what we were seeing, and showed me working like actually with a chisel, and just the neat stuff that I can talk about it all day, but there's some people in my life that wouldn't believe I ever held a hammer unless they saw it. So
Right.
that he did that.
And hopefully we'll have Glenn along for the ride with us, or somebody. We'll have Dana. We'll have somebody that does that. But I think if we don't have somebody professional that's going to do the edit, I know that you guys are way more hip and savvy when it comes to this. If you can edit your own, you don't need anybody else to do it. Priyanka.
Sorry, another quick question, but so if I vlog every day or do like a weekly vlog, should I turn that vlog into a blog? Like,
Why not? I think.
Okay, so the same thing that I say in my vlog, I should say in my blog.
Well, this is a good question. Nancy, go for it.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is I was sort of doing that during the Guatemala thing, and I was vlogging, but I also would make sure that I actually didn't write the same thing because I wanted them to get even more information. So I might tell a story on camera and then talk about the food or something else in the blog part, and that was so that people got more and more attached to it, because I think, now we're hearing about Abraham and how cute he is and how wonderful he is. And then I'm talking about this fabulous meal that this other family made for me and I had in the middle of the day, and the artwork that was so beautiful, and here are some pictures. And so it was all sorts of stuff, not just the writing, but then attaching pictures. And then when I was vlogging, it was me showing stuff live, but talking about a story. Like when I talked about Abraham and, I picked him up and I didn't realize at one point he was naked. Serious story. And people were thinking, I know that I got a lot of
pants. Where's his pants?
the pantaloons. So very cute, very fun. But I tried to actually put different things in each part so that you're getting a full story, and people connect differently. So some people like the pictures, and some people like the vlogging, and some people like the writing, and you don't know which. But if you do it all, you got them covered.
I wonder, I think one of the things that I'm finding as I'm doing my radio show, that I've been using Facebook Live a lot, and I don't know how this works with what you guys are doing, and I think it depends on technology, but I find that I do my radio show, and then I do a Facebook Live post-show wrap-up, and so I talk about some of the things that happened on the show that were like my favorite highlights, and then I talk about some of the things that brought up for me afterwards. So it's added content, and I'm finding that people are enjoying that. So Facebook Live, I think, is a really cool thing. And I wonder, Cameron, Priyanka, you guys would be the ones to really drill into this. Can we get that on ChimeIn so that you could Facebook Live straight through ChimeIn? And are you familiar with that?
I'm not particularly familiar with how Facebook Live works. I'd actually never heard of it until this call. I know that you can have video calls on Facebook, and you can video call a bunch of people, but I don't know anything about mass audiences or whatever.
Yeah, it tells basically all your followers, and it's only if you have a public profile page. And I think it's worth something. We'll have to I'll do some research on our ChimeIn page. I don't know if you guys are. I don't know if we can use it for ours, but maybe we can, because it's a page that people have to like to join. It can't be just.
You can do live on a personal page too.
You can? Is it the same as Facebook Live?
I don't know. It is Facebook Live, and I don't know how you do it on a particular page, but I can tell you that it's just this. I think it's the exact same on a personal page, because I do it, and I've had friends do it. I have friends who are visiting Italy right now, and he said, "Let's go live" to his wife, and they showed the little piazza or whatever they were at, and the band that was playing, and.
So do you get a notification as their friend? And maybe we can talk about this in more detail later, but
it pops up and it says so-and-so is live. And it's funny because it'll say anybody of my 5,000 friends is live. They'll tell me when it's happening. It's a notification that comes up.
That's great.
Okay, like, oh my gosh, so many people live.
So this could be an interesting thing to do. Just to explore as you're doing your video, because I think ease is good. I'm on our Facebook page, and
go on just your Kelly page.
On my Kelly page, but I'm trying to see how we could do it through ChimeIn. Oh, but you could do it through your own, like through your Cameron page or through your right, and then just share it to ChimeIn.
Yeah, like tag ChimeIn.
Tag ChimeIn, yeah, or just hit share. Okay. And let it go there.
Okay.
Great. Okay. So let's see.
But now how is like speaking live? How do you like? I don't have a lot of experience like speaking live on camera. So how would you gather your thoughts with that?
If I could answer, I would say that when it comes to speaking live on camera, if you're going to do it in that format, like the Facebook Live, I would suggest that you make it in a situation where you don't have to be so polished, because you're showing them something amazing. The whole point of going live is not that it's just you sitting there, although I have seen it, talking to your friend, but it's that you just got to this place where you're about to do a presentation, and this is the hall, and this is, what I'm about to do, or here are my props, this is what I'm going to talk about, and you're showing them something that you are either doing or about to do. And so the script is sort of written for you, because you're telling them what they're seeing. If you go live and you don't explain it, people don't know what's going on. So we don't have to tell you what to say. You'll know what to say. You'll be there and you'll say, I'm just about to go on and I'm kind of excited. You'll tell them your feelings about talking to whoever you're addressing, or about what you're about to see. Look at this beautiful artwork that we've just created, and I had to share it with you right now live. I got paintbrush in hand, that kind of thing. So I think it writes for itself when it's live, because you're going live, and I suggest this to everyone in the whole Facebook world, for a purpose, where there's something you have to actually show, other than, I'm just sitting here doing nothing. Right.
And it can be short and sweet. And Cameron's got a thought. I think that's great advice, Nancy. Thank you. Cameron.
Right. Another great thing about going live is that there's a chat room somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always some sort of input from the audience that you've got. They're either saying, well, why didn't you do this? Or maybe you could try this out. Or they're throwing something at you, or they're asking questions about it. And you can interact with them if you happen to get at a moment where you're stuck. You're like, shoot, I don't know what to say next. You can just turn to the chat and be like, oh, look at that. This person said this. Well, this is why we're not doing that, or this is why we're going to do that, or this is what I would like to do. It's similar to this, or, just reacting to the people and your audience. It actually is kind of similar to having a crowd in front of you, but not exactly. It's kind of got less, I feel like, personally, it's less stressful than having a massive audience in front of you, but at the same time, you're able to interact with the crowd kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you just said something incredibly valuable, because it's ideally we get to the point where every time we turn on Facebook Live or whatever this is, we'll have people that go, oh, Priyanka's on. Oh my God, she's in Haiti now, or she's in where is she now? Oh, let's find out. And you'll have people say either hi, or oh my God, that's amazing, or what's that thing behind you?
Yeah.
It might even come on with a question like, I'm about to talk to the Dalai Lama. Okay, what should I ask him? What should I say? Or, wow, I'm going to be talking to a bunch of kids that are refugees and I'm feeling kind of out of my depth. Any advice? Like let people, give them a question to chew on to send you back. I mean, just my silly thing about me being evacuated from my home and then saying I need to change my ringtone from "This Girl Is on Fire." What should anybody suggest any other ringtone ideas for my phone? And I got a ton of people sending in, all kinds of ideas. So, it was kind of silly. It's not exactly change the world stuff, but it's give people a reason to interact with you.
It depends on the song, right? I mean, for your ringtone. I think that also with the Goodness Tour with Luke and the Lovingtons, we also did both. We had an ongoing reel that people would talk in the moment in very quick clips, and we put it online. And so because people that were working or doing something that didn't allow them in that moment to jump onto the tour, they wanted to feel part of the tour, and they felt that they were going along for the ride, and then the more polished pieces came later. And in the moments where it's just spontaneous, video, I find personally that just entering into an animation of your personality that really focus on how you feel in that moment, and let your personality really be animated with that, so people can feel like, it's not dry. It's not just, something you gotta do. It's something that you're loving to do. You're there because it's your dream and you're doing it. And let people feel that when you speak into the camera, as if you're speaking to the clouds or speaking to your best buddy or anybody that you just want to express, hey, I'm doing this and this is awesome and I hope you're living your dream too. Let's all do it together, and then the other thing is with the interaction with the audience. It's fantastic. I love what you're saying. With the Goodness Tour, we did the Anonymous Good. So yes, we're offering music and art for people facing adversity, free concerts for where it can't be paid for. And then online, we offer the opportunity for people to propose acts of anonymous good. Like they have an aunt that has some ailing illness or something that could really use a boost, of just good vibes and great music. And so they put in these different ideas, and we choose something from an audience participation and actually show up at their house and interact with them. And we found that people got really excited that they could actually help shift the direction of our tour in the moment by coming up with a good idea and directing us to somebody that could really use like a smile.
That's awesome. So Priyanka, did we answer your question?
Definitely.
Some ideas?
And
Definitely.
one more thing, Priyanka, it's when you do go live on Facebook, then it becomes a conversation instead of just a presentation. When you do that, because people chime in right immediately, they say things. It becomes a conversation, and you're good at that.
Yeah.
So you have that confidence.
It is. It does in and of itself. It lends itself to being a bit more casual, a bit more yourself, like letting people in on your life. Like when you're presenting a TED Talk. There's one. I know. Sorry. Need to change that. Casual. Okay.
By the way, Kelly, I'm just going to quickly send you something in your private chat. It's a link to information on Facebook Live. So.
Oh, excellent. Okay, cool. Let's see. Thank you, Cameron. So I know that we've been on for about an hour, so we'll need to wrap this up. But I think all of our youth ambassadors are so much more hip and savvy about this stuff than I am. But I think the trend is the more transparent you can be, the better. The more we really get to see you and know you, not so concerned about you being perfect. When you present in front of the United Nations, when you do a TED Talk, we expect there to be a polished energy to it. We expect it to be rehearsed or to have the really, great bullet points and for it to really lead somewhere. I think with the Facebook Live and all of this, it's a good opportunity to get loose with it and to develop your personality and to share some things like, oh my God, I just got a mosquito bite, or oh my God, I'm terrified about this thing, or I'm super excited about this, or oh God, this didn't happen the way I thought it was going to. I'm disappointed. It's like a journal of sorts, and not the easiest thing. I mean, I have to admit, it's not perfectly easy for me. I'm pretty much an open book when I'm actually interacting with anybody. If somebody asks me any question, I'll let it rip. But just talking to the camera, I'm not exactly sure how revealed to go and how, so I'm finding my way. And sometimes I think I go too far and sometimes not far enough, but I think it's a worthy relationship to work out. And I know sometimes the idea is to imagine one person that's in the eye of your camera or in the eye of your computer, somebody that you think needs to hear what you have to say, and just focus on them. So as we're wrapping this up, maybe each of us can say one thing that we've either learned or gotten from this session, or one last point of wisdom or sharing. Nancy, Susan. So everybody, I'd like to hear one thing from y'all. Is there any last words of wisdom that you'd like to share, Nancy?
Oh gosh, I think I'd be more likely to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to talk. You for the questions that you asked, and thank you for the input that you gave. I think this was a great moment for us all to share together.
I ditto that. Awesome. Susan. Oops. Hello, Susan.
You can say you don't have my video, but you can say hi to my dad. My dad is here with me.
Hi, Dad. Hi, Dad Johnson. Wow. A pleasure to meet you. You've got an amazing daughter, an amazing grandkids, an amazing son-in-law, an amazing other daughter, Casey.
That's great. So last thoughts. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
So, I think that the most important thing that I would have anybody leave with is to be yourself. Be who you are. Don't be afraid. Cameron Johnson, you don't want to do that.
What did he do?
What's he doing? What are you doing?
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Was he eating a chip?
You have to be careful that you forget people who got you on screen.
No. I only show up on only the main screen's being recorded. I can do it when I'm just one of the side ones. It's okay.
No.
I'm watching you the whole time.
The people who are watching their recorded, they can't see it. It's okay. They only see the main screen.
Oh, that's so funny. I guess you don't want to always be yourself. But to be yourself, to make sure that you have fun with it, and understand that it's okay to not be perfect, because people will appreciate you for who you are. If you make a mistake, look at it, laugh at it, and move on, and you'll have a much better time with it than letting it get you all bound up in a knot.
Yes.
Who you are is who you are. We all make mistakes. Enjoy it.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Susan. Benjamin.
In line with exactly what, was just shared, my goodness, in this whole call, reality television took off like crazy for a reason. And here's an opportunity to actually show real reality television through ourselves, and to show our imperfections and truly embrace that as the perfection of life. Mm-hmm. That offers the opportunity for other people to understand and to see that they can do it also. Mm-hmm. Whereas if we only show how we succeed and how we're perfect in the moments we want people to see, then they have a separation between them being capable of following those footsteps and feeling that they just could never do that. And the beauty of where we're at right now as a human race is coming together and to really show how we feed off each other, how we are a super organism working together, and that everybody can live their dreams despite the things that try and hold them back. And so I love it when those flaws come out, because that is an opportunity for everybody to say, oh, I can relate to that, and still they're working through it. Yes, during the belly of the whale, this hero really is coming through because they're not backing down instead of never having to be confronted with any conflict to begin with.
I love that. And the word for it that I would use to punctuate that is the word flossom. I may have shared this with you before, but when I was on the Bethany television show, network television show, the producer came in right before I went on and she said, our favorite word around here is flossom. We think it's awesome when there's a flaw, and we just roll with it. So we always actually hope that there will be a flaw, because that ends up being the most interesting part of the show. So don't worry if things aren't perfect. In fact, we'll love you more if it's not.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
And the strange thing is because there was so much permission, I was hoping something would fall apart. Nothing did. And I was a little bit bummed that nothing did, but there was so much permission. It's usually when there's no permission that we screw everything up. But when there's tons of permission, you know, we're relaxed, and things tend to flow. So flossom.
Yeah.
I'll be flossom. Okay,
Yeah.
so Priyanka, what is there one thing in particular that you'll take from this session tonight?
Yeah, definitely. All of the insight tonight was really helpful. Something that I've learned in this past hour is that it's okay to make mistakes, that it's okay to be who you are, and that's the most important thing. And this entire hour has given me 100 times more confidence to go on camera and talk about my message. So, thank you.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cameron.
I'd have to say the one thing that I really took away from this was what I'd mentioned earlier. That one tip is to be able to, make sure that you are reading your audience before you continue on with something, before you continue that rambling statement that you're on. You know, you want to make sure that they are actually still interested in listening to you. And then another thing, I actually have a piece of advice I'd like to put in, because this comes from having had a YouTube channel for a while.
Yes.
There are a lot of people who will come, and I've had several people in the past do this. They'll write something like, because to give a little, just a backstory quickly, I do gaming on my channel, and so people will come in and they'll be like, you're not very good at this game. Why do you post this content? And they're right. I'm not the most amazing at the game, but the first few times it happened, I got very angry or frustrated with it, and I would ban them from being able to comment on my channel anymore, and it just hurt me. And after a while, I kind of realized that the moment that I ban somebody from being able to comment on my videos or show up anywhere, I'm stopping a potential fan in the future. And so it's the same way. Like if you have someone and you're in a live chat, or you've got a whatever going on, and someone says something that's not your point of view, or perhaps you disagree with, I can't imagine anyone in this call doing this, but don't get angry with them. Always make them work to see their point of view, because otherwise you're just going to 100% drive them away. Whereas if you don't drive them away instantly, they have a chance to, maybe change their perspective if it's a bad perspective, or you can help your perspective grow by being able to understand theirs as well.
Ooh, Cameron, I think you just brought up something that is really, really incredibly valuable. And I think we could even dedicate an entire session to this whole topic. I mean, because I know that sometimes there are haters that are absolutely cruel. When I had the strangest dream went to #1, there was a big article written on it was AOL.com at the time, and it was huge. And I had people that sent in, die, you should die, we hate you, and then there was people that out of nowhere loved me and thought I was the greatest thing in the world. But there were people that were pretty where do you live, and we're going to kill you. So there, what I got from that, actually, I had just heard an interview with Alanis Morissette that said that the day that she got her first hate mail was the day that somebody said, now you've reached the big time. It's that means that you're not just preaching to the choir. So it's actually a backhanded compliment. It means that you're actually going beyond. And anybody that has true impact will have haters. And I think we should have compassion, as Cameron said, to the people that are kind of in the middle ground that maybe challenge you. I think there's a place for them and a place to maybe acknowledge them and have compassion. And then there's those who I think I think maybe there may be an appropriate time to block people or be backwards complimented by them. Whatever it is, don't let them stop you. So I think that we could probably have a whole session on dropping in deeper to this, because I have a feeling that any youth ambassador that gets chosen by us is chosen because you're basically a star. You're somebody that the world needs to know. You've got a voice that people need to hear. You've got a point of view that will attract people. And that means this is the reason we're doing this, is to give you some additional training wheels so that you can feel really confident going out there and being yourself and sharing yourself with the world as confidently as you possibly can. And that Marianne Williamson quote, as you let your light shine, I don't know. It's a whole thing about letting your light shine, and there's going to be people that won't like it, but you're here to liberate those who are going to be drawn to you. And the brighter the light, the bigger the bugs sometimes. The last thing I want to say is, I know for me speaking, everything that Nancy said about connecting and knowing when it's time to stop and reading the audience, I can't do any of that if my belly is tight. If it's like my shoulders are tight, if I'm all clenched up, I can't read anything. So I just interviewed a guest on my radio show called Mary O'Malley, and she suggests that people become tightness detectives. That means to go on the lookout for any time you clench up and to recognize it, breathe through it, drop in. So let's do that when we speak, when we're sharing, whether it be doing a Facebook Live video, whether it be in front of tens of thousands of people, because I would imagine, just like that Michelangelo quote about how he created the sculpture of David, he did so by removing all the excess marble, that masterpiece. When you're tight, whoa, hello, Stella. When you're all tight and clenched up.
No, Stella's upstairs.
We love you, Stella, or whoever is barking.
The poodles.
Poodles. Hello, poodles. The idea is to, as everybody said, let go, be yourself, let it rip. And Nancy, a big, gigantic ChimeIn thank you to you for leading this call, for setting us up for success. You were amazing. So let's just all give her like a standing ovation. On behalf of all of us listening live and those who will listen way, way, way down the line in the archive. So let's end this call with pointing at yourself and saying, I am the change.
I am the
Change.
Pointing at someone else and saying, you are the change.
You are the change.
And circling it around, we are the change.
We are the change.
So now go be the change.
Yo, go be the change.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Arriba.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, good to see everybody. Thank you.
Thank
See you all too.
Feel better, Benjamin.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.